and welcome to the Monday Night Main Stage. We're talking about Detroit Lions football. I am your host, Main Event Mike, along with our illustrious panel of headliners. Today from the West Coast, we've got Greg Rice at Greg Rice 20. How are you, Greg?
You know, I'm doing good today. Happy to see our defense improving.
Right on. We also got Melvin, Detroit Jesus, for the first time on the main stage. Welcome to the main stage, Melvin.
What's up, fellas? One pride.
Right on.
That's
and
right.
On the bottom square, we're looking at Jake D from The Roar. Jake the Take, how are you today?
Oh, living the dream, man. Be doing much better if this was Victory Monday, but those seem to be few and far between.
Right. Instead, it is Overreaction Monday. This is our panel of headliners. Welcome to the main stage. So let's talk about it. Initial reactions, 24-6. The Detroit Lions lose to the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, the defense played better. The Detroit Lions have not scored a touchdown in the month of October. We'll start with you, Greg Rice. What's your initial reactions from this loss in Dallas?
Well, I was glad to see the defense. You know, there's so many players that stepped it up defensively. I'll get into that here in a little bit. Big shout out to Kirby Joseph. Proven to be the ball hawk he is. Yeah, he dropped it for sure, INT. I get that, but this kid's going to be something special, you know. And I was bringing it up to a few other people, man. Once we get Tracy Walker back next year, I think we're going to have our own little mix of like what the Jets had a few years ago with Jamal Adams and Marcus May. I see some very good positives defensively. Offensively, if your name ain't Brock Wright, you were a no-show, and it was pretty freaking bad. Excuse my language.
Right. Jake the Take, what do you got on that? What's your initial reactions from this game?
Man, you know, defense stepped up really in a big way and much improved from the weeks prior. Offense just really completely crapped the bed on this one. They just couldn't do nothing. I know Dallas has a good defense, but damn. That was horrible.
Melvin, Detroit Jesus, what do you got? What's your takeaways from this game?
You know, like everybody else, you know, the defense definitely, you know, caught my eye. Definitely played a lot better until, you know, halfway into the fourth or whatever. But you know, the offense has been stagnant, you know. But like aside from the one game, like losing your two best offensive players matters. You know, like we had the one game where, you know, you had Swift out and whatever, but like, man, you got Swift and Amon-Ra. Like it's gonna be rough going, man, especially against that Dallas defense.
Yeah, that's a great point. If your leading receivers are Khalif Raymond and Brock Wright, that could be a problem. I think none of you guys are really grilling the Lions too hard, though. It sounds like you're kind of giving them a pass there. One of our Facebook users says draft a quarterback. We'll definitely should have that discussion. So, I mean, maybe we'll skip ahead here. Since the Facebook user says draft a quarterback, let's talk about Jared Goff. So just give our producer a heads up. We're going to talk about Jared Goff now. Jake, how did Jared Goff look on Sunday?
Horrible. Look, dude, did he stay at home and sleep in bed and he send, like, I don't know, a replacement? Like, dude, this 4 turnovers, 3 of them directly resulted in a touchdown. 3. He looked lost, man. He backs up too far into the pocket, so he's always running backwards into sacks. Has horrible pocket awareness. It's just decision making, everything, man. Honestly, I wouldn't even let him get on the freaking plane ride home. I'm like, dude, you got an Uber back or something. You're not welcome here.
So do you agree with the viewer who said draft a quarterback? Is that the first thing the Lions should do?
You know what? I'm jumping on board. You know, I was a Goff supporter, you know, early in the season, and I wanted him to do good because, hey, you know, he plays quarterback for the Lions. So of course I want him to do good. But he's just getting worse every single week. You know, the guy
had it with Goff. Melvin, what do you think? What's your assessment of Jared Goff on Sunday? And should they draft a quarterback first thing in the draft?
So Goff definitely played terrible. I still think the offense would have looked a lot better with Amon-Ra and St. Brown, you know. So, I mean, Goff he's that quarterback that things have to be right, and things weren't right on that offense, so he's going to struggle. And I'm still on the fence about drafting a quarterback. I can't lie. I'm still leaning towards just defense it out, man.
At Greg Rice 20, what's your assessment of Goff?
It's funny you bring this up. I could have sworn Dak Prescott came back from a broken thumb. And by the way they played yesterday, you would have sworn it was Jared Goff. Look, that was absolutely atrocious. You can look at the stat sheet, chop it up how you want to. 6 missed passes. There was 4 turnovers by our quarterback. And there is just no way you can win a game when your quarterback does that. You know, I sat by and I watched a very good quarterback in Matt Stafford, you know, and I gave up on him after his second 5 turnover game. Jared Goff is not Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's a better quarterback, maybe not so much this year, but overall he is. And I'm just willing no longer to really give Jared Goff the benefit of the doubt. That play was so atrocious yesterday, and we could break it down any way we want to. Look, Jared Goff is essentially like Jimmy G. The only difference is our Lions. We don't have that benefit of having a top end front seven or a good. We don't have that support right now. So Jared Goff really had to step it up, and yesterday was just absolutely pathetic. And I am on board with drafting a quarterback. I do want to see who emerges out of these top tier ones. It'd be nice to have Bryce Young reunited with JMO, but I do honestly like CJ Stroud a little bit better. So I'm all for getting a quarterback. Use Goff as a bridge till this next one's ready.
Wow, I don't know. Jared Goff was 21 of 26, 228 yards. He did have 2 interceptions, but they were in the second half when it looked like the Lions were going to lose. I mean, it was 6-3 at halftime. The Lions won the time of possession. The Lions ran almost the identical amount of plays as Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys had 330 total yards. The Lions had 312 yards. I didn't think Jared Goff looked that bad, honestly. Jared Goff didn't fumble at the goal line. So Jared Goff isn't the one who decided let's not try to get some points at the end of the half. I got to put it more on the players not executing. Jamal Williams never fumbled in his career. Okay. Yeah. I know everybody wants to blame the referees. There were 8 penalties for the Lions and 7 for the Cowboys. I thought the Cowboys got some bad calls as well. But I have a hard time putting it on Jared Goff. So let's change topics now then. Let's talk about who's to blame. You guys seem to think it's Jared Goff. Other than Jared Goff, we'll go back to you, Greg. Other than Jared Goff, who do you think's to blame for this 1-5 start? Partially Dan Campbell. He just flipped the script and went totally conservative. When Kirby Joseph absolutely jarred and ninja flipped Noah Brown for that fumble, why didn't we attack? You take advantage of turnovers in the NFL, and for us to just sit there and just kind of run it, and it was a bad look. I couldn't believe he did that. Turnovers are such momentum builders, and most of us here have played sports. Regardless of sport, when you get a turnover, you take advantage of it. The fact that we didn't, we just rested on our laurels, thinking this was going to be some defensive shootout. It was absolutely bad. The Cowboys had all the momentum in the world, kept creating turnovers. That Jared Goff passed to Josh Reynolds to Trayvon Diggs, who's probably the best ball hawk in the league, just absolutely blew my mind. I'm not going to sit here and blame Jared Goff anymore. I've already put 90% of the blame on him, but just the conservative play calling just absolutely killed me. Yeah, I know that play that you're talking about was a 3rd down, I believe. Great take, Greg. I wondered too, why are you throwing it right at Trayvon Diggs in that situation? Didn't make any sense to me at all. Jake, what do you think? Who's to blame outside of Jared Goff for this Lions 1-5 start?
It starts from Brad Holmes all the way down. Brad Holmes drafting injured players and signing injured players, from Campbell being overly aggressive to yesterday where he looked like a completely different coach. AG not having the defense where they need to be. All of them, everybody's to blame. Jared Goff, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, AG, all of them. They're all to blame. The guys come out one week, they've looked a little flat at times. One game was the Patriots. They didn't have much urgency. Then you got yesterday, man. The offense was pathetic. Even Ben Johnson could have done a better job calling plays yesterday, and I've loved him all season long. And I still think he kind of went conservative the way Campbell wanted to. So
I don't know.
Everyone's to blame.
I feel like we went away from the run at the end of the game. What do you think, Melvin? Who's to blame outside of Goff?
So if we're talking about not this last game, but the start as a whole, honestly, I put most of the blame on AG. I mean, we have an offensive head coach. You know, the offense, you know, was firing on all cylinders. Like, we should have been winning all, you know, like, you know, at least most, if not all of those games, you know, in the beginning that we lost. Like, there's no excuse for that defense looking that fucking bad, that bad, you know? And I understand lack of talent or whatever, but there was no semblance of even, like, being able to work with the talent you had. Like, you know, you can at least a half-ass defense. And you know, I look, we could talk about it being, you know, on Campbell or whatever, but Campbell, as the head coach, you know, stepped in over the bye week and, like, you know, look, AG, we got to make changes, you know. Yeah. So, and we saw what that produced. So, you know, you gotta give Campbell some credit for you know, recognizing and not being too prideful or too friendly with AG or whatever, and being like, look, no, we need to come to something. We need to come together and change something, because this isn't working.
Great take, Melvin, for sure. Aaron Glenn, Rashad Penny said after the Seattle game, we saw it coming. He made some changes. The defense has played better in the last couple games, and I got to give Dan Campbell some credit. I thought he was calling a pretty good game for 3.5 quarters of that football game on Sunday. You went into the halftime leading 6-3 because you weren't being a cowboy on fourth down. You were taking the points and trusting your defense, and that's kind of what we needed there. Defensive tackle, we had a rookie play yesterday named Josh Pascal, who came in and he looked good. He had some pressures, had some hurries. He was disruptive on the line for a first game. Super impressed for his first game. That's a bright spot for me. We'll kick it over to you, Greg Rice. What do you think? What's the bright spots? What's your positive takeaways? I know the Detroit media, you're out there in California, you're a little insulated, but I know that Melvin and Jake can probably attest. They are calling the Lions garbage today. I mean, they are using terms like dumpster fire. Clean this house from Brad Holmes all the way down. This whole thing is a failure. And I just think that's an overreaction. So let's talk about something positive, because all we've heard around here today is negative stuff about the Lions. Let's hear it from you, Greg. What do you got?
Well, first off, I'm here to eat crow. Shout out to Aiden Hutchinson, the Michigan Messiah. He did his thing yesterday. Look, he absolutely manhandled Tyler Smith. He also got a spin move for, I think, contributing to his other half sack or partial sack, however you want to break it down. He got quite a few quarterback hits as well as pressures. He absolutely tore it up in a 2-point stance. My apologies to U of M fans who were fighting me this whole way that Hutchinson was great. He was absolutely amazing out of a 2-point stance. I hope he stays in a 2-point stance the rest of the year until next year. Get him trained up in that 3-4 stance a little bit better. He was absolutely amazing. And this is the guy I wanted when we drafted. This is the guy I saw when I got this jersey. Like, I normally don't buy Lions jerseys just because of our draft class history. Josh Pascal, another guy you just brought up. Guy had 2 tackles, a defensive stop, 2 assists, and 2 quarterback pressures. Looked a little gassed at the end of the game. The guy hasn't played football in, 10 months? Absolutely amazing. Kirby Joseph, almost with the interception. That hit on Noah Brown that just literally turned that man's world upside down, 360. This kid's going to be great. He has a pass coverage grade of 83.3, according to PFF. Brad Holmes, you absolutely get a pass. You cleaned up all my worries about drafting all these injured players. I hope this continues, man. We had a lot of Brock Wright, you guys. This guy came in, and I've been a big advocate of this guy for quite a minute. And to finally see him get involved, it was absolutely amazing. AO kind of bounced back. Jeff Okudah, as we've touched on, did great. Kaminsky, him back. Huge X factor in getting this defensive line going again.
Right on. Jake, we'll send it over to you. What's your positive takeaways from the game?
Jeff Okudah. Got to talk about Jeff Okudah. Not only he led the team in tackles, he had a career high 15 total tackles, 12 combined, or 12 solo, sorry. But he played 18 snaps out of his 57 in the box as like a box safety or an extra linebacker. And to see him come up and run support, man, I think it was in the third quarter on a third down play. You seen him in the box, and as soon as that gap opened for the running back, he hit that fast and hard. And he hit him right there behind the line of scrimmage. I think ESPN credited him with 2 stuffs. I'm not never heard of a stuff before, but I'm guessing stuffing him at the line of scrimmage. But yeah, I mean, Kuda played well. Hutch played good too, man. Hutch had a game. This is what we expect from him. I know Greg's excited about it, because that's what he wanted. I'm not, because I seen what Hutch could do while he played at Michigan. So I know what kind of player we have in Aiden Hutchinson if he can reach that potential. So
yeah. Well, Detroit Jesus, what do you got? What did you like in the game yesterday?
First off, I just want to say that, stuff that's an old term for the old heads. You don't hear it a whole lot, but that's stuff to run. So but I mean, shit, like Greg, he kind of like made sure he covered everybody, huh?
I'm sorry, my bad, Melvin.
Not even close.
No, you're good. I'm gonna talk about somebody that nobody brought up, and that's Penei Sewell, man. Like, he handled fucking Micah Parsons.
Yes,
handled.
Sir.
He handled him. Like, absolutely handled him. So that's a huge positive. I mean, this kid's second year, he's already one of, if not the best right tackle in the game. So that's definitely a positive. Got to go with Jeff Okudah, man. Jeff Okudah is balling right now. Like I said before the show, though, I'd like to see him be a little more aggressive, man. Use that closing speed and make a play on the ball. Stop playing it so safe all the time. Pascal, definitely, like, that kid, man. I like the draft pick. A buddy of mine, he didn't too much care for it. I like the pick when it happened. You know what I mean? So to see him come out and after being hurt and have that kind of game, I like seeing that. And you can't forget about Hutch.
Right. Well, a positive that I like to take away from the game was that the offensive line was still blowing holes open for the run game. I thought Lions had 117 yards rushing. They're still able to run the ball. I was a little confused about some of the play calling when you're able to run the ball effectively. So, it's about running the ball and stopping the run. And I didn't think the Lions didn't get steamrolled in this game like I predicted, even though I did predict the actual score. I nailed the final score prediction, but it certainly was a lot closer than that, right? Go ahead, Jay.
One more time. Greg's been really big on his pass rush win rate on the season, which has been 10% until yesterday. He had a 25% pass rush win rate, man. He absolutely took their tackles to freaking town, man. He took them boys out to the woodshed and just beat them. And also, I'm going to piggyback on what Melvin said about Sewell. He played absolutely amazing. And the simple fact that he made the more likely a candidate for defensive player of the year look like it was his first day on the job, for most of the game. Until they had to switch him sides. They had to switch him over to Decker. They tried to pick on Sewell and they couldn't.
I mean, did you see that shot? Did you see that shot of Micah on the sideline, just sitting on the bench, just like staring off in the distance? You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I think it got in his head, like, who, man, I can't get past Sewell. Like, come on, man, it's Detroit.
Hey, Sewell's a different animal. Sewell's a completely different animal. I've never seen a right tackle with like his athleticism. Like, dude's just a monster out there.
Well, this is Monday night on the main stage, and it is open mic night, and our Facebook users are chiming in. We've got one Facebook user here says Penei Sewell, the best right tackle in the NFL. I think certainly arguably the best, one of the best for sure. Talk about the real need. One of our Facebook users has said the head coach. So
I'm not even dignifying that with an answer.
John Dorn.
So many people have
guarantee
given
you,
up
Melvin.
on Dan Campbell around Detroit. It's how easily people turn. I mean, what did we really expect, though, right? I mean, is this same old Lions? I mean, that's what I heard so much today on Detroit Talk Radio. They were talking about same old Lions, and it's just such a tired old narrative. So I want to kick it over to the panel now. Let's face it. We get the ball on the 1 yard line, first down, almost a touchdown. What happens? We fumble. It's so reminiscent of the Lions versus Dallas with Matt Stafford fumbling in the fourth quarter. So is this the same old Lions, Jake?
They might be 5. I still don't think it's the same old Lions. They're not giving up. they're still playing hard almost every single down, and the energy coming out of Detroit, I can feel. I'm 3 hours away, and I can feel it in Battle Creek. So, I don't think it's the same old Lions, and I don't blame Dan Campbell solely. I do think he's still learning on the job. Kind of wish I don't know, the learning curve seems a bit high for him, but hopefully he comes around, man. I really like Dan Campbell, and I don't want to be the same old Lions no more. I want people to come to Detroit and know that you're about to take this L, or if you win, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it the next day. Monday morning, you're gonna need an ice bath.
Right. So all homering aside here, guys, there were a lot of things yesterday and the week before that was same old Lions. We woke up in the morning complaining about the referees. We're talking about what could have been. We had the game right there and we lost it. Those things are same old Lions. So Melvin, tell me, were there some similarities here to same old Lions or no?
I mean, everything's going to be on a magnifying glass when it's your team. You know what I mean? But look, I'm not going to entertain or even start talking about same old Lions when we're not even through year 2 of a complete strip down rebuild. I think anybody talking about the sky falling is ridiculous, and you're the same old Lions fan, and that's why we have one of the most toxic fan bases in the league.
True.
Wow. True that. Great take. One of our Facebook users says it is the same old Lions until Brad Holmes gets a real head coach. So putting Dan Campbell's feet to the fire. Another Facebook user says, would y'all be mad if they drafted Blake Corum? That's a great question. Blake Corum's starting to finally get some Heisman buzz here for the undefeated Michigan Wolverines. Go Blue. And so we'll pose that question to the panel. Do the Lions need Blake Corum? I mean, at least he could stay healthier than DeAndre Swift. We'll start with you, Melvin. What do you think about Blake Corum in Honolulu Blue?
I love Blake. He's a beast. I'm a Michigan fan. He's still 5'8", man.
There was another great running back that was 5'8", though.
Yeah, but the size of his legs were like 2 Blake Corums.
Jake, what do you think? Blake Corum is the Lion? What would it take?
I would be okay if he was picked maybe in the 3rd round or later. But
thank you.
You also got to remember who he's playing behind, or who that offensive line for Michigan is a complete freaking monster. I mean, the guy runs 5 yards before he's even touched, so he can get that, he's a bowling ball. He gets that short, compact frame going and gets lower than everybody. But that offensive line for Michigan is absolutely stout, man. They won last year. They won the award. I can't remember the name of it, but they won the award for having the best O-line in the country, and they're in the running to win it again this year. So people also got to take that into account too. He's running behind a very, very good offensive line.
Blake Corum getting drafted by the Lions.
Sure, just as long as it's not in the 2nd round. Look, you guys, we can go over and over and over again with this. I mean, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over again and doing expecting different results. Look, I have my name up here. It was signed Tony Pollard 2023. Get that kid in here. He cost $5 to $7 million. If you guys were too busy paying attention to other things, Tony Pollard absolutely killed us yesterday. He offers everything DeAndre Swift does. He would come here at $5 to $8 million. He has limited snap usage due to him being split with Zeke Elliott. Look, I like Corum. I like how, and I'm not a superstitious guy. I am just so tired of drafting running backs that do not pan out, that either get injured, come here, get injured, and it's nothing to do with their superstition. Bring me a proven vet. Look, I'll say this. Over the last decade, DeAndre Swift has been our most talented back. Who's been our best back, though? Our best value? Reggie Bush. He was a free agent we brought in, relatively cheap. Bring me some Tony Pollard. Bring me somebody, anybody. I just do not want to waste another draft pick on a running back. And like I said, all superstition out the way. Just bring me Tony Pollard. We'll be good.
Well, I like that take a lot. I think you might have an easier time prying Ezekiel Elliott out of Dallas than Tony Pollard.
True.
And I'm a huge Michigan fan. I bleed the maize and blue, but I don't want this move for the Lions. I don't even think Blake Corum's the best running back in the Big Ten. Mohamed Ibrahim from Minnesota is probably the best running back in the Big Ten. I think the kid in Wisconsin is probably going to be a better pro than Blake Corum. So, no, I personally don't like that move, but I do appreciate the Facebook user chiming in on the main stage on Open Mic Monday. We're about to introduce a new segment, too, our second half of our segment, which is where we look ahead to the Miami game. So it would be great if we could have been talking about a win from the Lions today, but it was not to be. We do want to give a shout out to the THEE real Mac Brook, the Mac Truck. Our guest last week, Cowboy fan, I know that she is relishing this victory. So now it's time for our segment known as Hit That Drop, Russ.
Know thy enemy.
And that brings on our guest, Reginald. How are you? Reginald Johnson, the Miami Dolphins superfan. Can you hear us, Reg?
Yes, sir. I hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. We're looking forward to this game. We're looking forward to putting the last game behind us, that's for sure. And when we look ahead, it doesn't look great because we're playing your Miami Dolphins. And tell us a little bit about your fandom about the Miami Dolphins.
I've been a Dolphins fan since Dan Marino days of 1996 when I started watching. When I actually started getting more involved in football, I didn't start watching football until '93, but I didn't find a team until 1996 when I fell in love watching Dan Marino play.
Okay, and you've been a diehard Fish fan ever since.
Yes, sir.
Does it bother you that people call them the Fish and Dolphins are really mammals?
I don't give a shit.
Joking. That's just a joke. You don't really have to answer that. But what we are going to do is give you some questions about your team. And we're going to kick it over to our illustrious panel of headliners. And we're going to start on the West Coast out in Cali, our West Coast stat master at Greg Rice 20. Greg, this is Reginald. Reginald, this is Greg Rice. What do you got for him?
Yes. Hey, Reginald. Hey, nice to have you on the show, man. Thank you so much for stepping on, man. I do appreciate nothing but respect for the Fins. I guess my biggest question will be Mike McDaniel has this offense humming. Right now, Tyreek Hill is listed according to PFF as the best wide receiver in the game. Jalen Waddle's not too far behind him, ranked 13th. Tua is ranked as the third best quarterback according to PFF and the 10th best quarterback according to Football Outsiders. If you can, are you happy with the progress you made, and how much of a difference is it between Mike McDaniel and Brian Flores?
Well, this offense feels alive with Mike McDaniel. It's very innovative. We established a running game yesterday in the first half against the Steelers before they made halftime adjustments. This is the best offense I've seen in 30 years. I'm used to us seeing going up 3 and out almost every other play, and the defense having to stick around on the field 45 minutes because the offense can't even establish a rhythm. So I like the high tempo offense, and I like that the West Coast style zone run that he does, that he was doing yesterday. Yeah. But what concerns me is Tua scrambling. That's what got him hurt in the first place. But Mike McDaniel is more superior than the Shanahan brothers. Coming out of that Shanahan pocket, because the Shanahan, they're inconsistent. These guys are incompetent, in my opinion. Mike McDaniel is more, he's one of the best offensive minds in the NFL.
He's been touted as such. That's a great take, Reginald. Thank you. We'll send it over to Jake now. Jake, what do you got for Reginald?
How are the Lions going to be, the Lions corners going to match up with the speed of Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill? How's that matchup going to go?
Your secondary is going to get shredded. They're going to get shredded. They're young. You guys got a very young secondary. The oldest person on that secondary is 27 years old, and that's the safety. But the average, he's not even playing, right? The 27-year-old kid. But the average age is 24 years old. I'm not saying they're not capable of doing the job because they're being paid millions of dollars. So I'm not saying the Lions are gonna show up and lose or fall down. They're gonna still play hard. It's just it's very hard for me to see this being a close game on paper. With a healthy Tua, but I see the Dolphins. They're not gonna come out passing. They're gonna come out running to exert dominance to set the tempo. And that's the way I see it going.
Yeah, well,
definitely going to be a tough matchup for those young corners out there. Okudah, I think, is going to draw the short straw and have to try to stick with Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
I don't think there's a corner in the league that can run step for step with him.
Yeah, he's going to have a field day. And Tua, the way he was looking yesterday, he was looking overwhelmed. He was stressed because the plays weren't connecting. He threw a lot of dropped interceptions. It should have been 4 interceptions last night. But he looked frustrated, and he's going to let it out against your Lions. That's the way I've seen it. I've seen the face of, like, things. You know how when things are not going your way and you work so hard to perfection? He's going to perfect his game, and he's going to exert his dominance against the Lions. I'm sorry you guys had to be the one.
That's okay. Every team in the league looks at the Lions on their schedule, and they say that, and they think the same thing. And every week we play them hard, and every week
exactly. You can't look at any team.
We lose it more than you beat us. So what do you think about that? Sorry, Jake. Did you have anything else for Reginald?
Oh, just I like Tua, man, and when he went down with that hit. Like, it scared me, man. I was scared for him. I don't know. I feel for his parents, man. They must have been just – I couldn't imagine what they were going through, all the emotions, man. But I love the kid. He's tough. He's tough.
Yeah. Right. Well, back to Greg's point about Mike McDaniel. Brian Flores did a great job winning 9 games down the stretch and still lost his job, which is tragic. Absolutely a travesty. But – Mike McDaniel, this guy, I think Reginald's right. This guy is special. If you ever see any of his post-game interviews or whatever, this guy's clever. He's really likable. The players sure seem to love him. Melvin, what do you think about Mike McDaniel?
I'd just like to know, how does Reginald feel Mike McDaniel handled the whole Tua situation from handling him, with the concussion and protocol and everything, and how he handled the media. Because honestly, I feel like the whole thing was signed from top down was bumbled.
That's out of the coach's hands. In that situation, is up to the medical examiner and the medical staff. The coach is going to go by what the doctors tell him, because the coach, he can't make a decision about Tua's health because he's a coach. He's not a doctor. So in my opinion, that's a very tough situation. And that situation, I felt that he could have handled that situation better, but it wasn't him that dropped the ball. It was the NFL and the medical examiner that dropped the ball in that situation.
So you give McDaniel a pass in this one?
Yes.
All right.
See, so hold on, real quick, man. Like how I gotta ask, like, how can so you say he can't go against medical, but like he can't go against medical if they say he can't play. But he can damn sure go against medical if they say he's fine, and you saw everything that we saw. Say no, bro, you're not going back in. And then the way, like, his explanations and the way he handled the media, like, the whole thing was sloppy.
Well, listen, you gotta understand, we don't have a solid backup. Tua will give us the best chance to win. Yeah. Without you see how different the offense was, the difference he made about the presence of him being on that field. If you look at the tapes from when he was not in the game the past couple of weeks, offense was out of whack. We had nothing going for ourselves. But when he makes that much of a difference when he's in the game, and the coach, he wants to win. He wants to win.
The best chance to win is more important than a guy's long-term health.
Right. At what cost?
It's a brutal sport. It's a brutal sport. You gotta understand. They're being paid millions of dollars.
You should take the precaution to protect the players when you can.
I understand. I understand where you're coming from in that part.
So that brings us to our next question. Is Tua the long-term answer for Miami, Reginald?
No. I don't see him being in the league. I don't see him being
the best chance to win.
Yeah, but okay. I watched him play at University of Alabama when he broke his hip. When the two players collided, I said his career was over because of was it Herschel Walker? That one guy that went to Auburn, Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson.
You see, yeah, he didn't last the league past 8 years because of that broken hip. But everybody's telling me the medical technology is better now than it was 60 years ago. So Tua should have a long, stellar career. But I don't see that happening because I myself suffer a broken hip, and I'm not the same person I was before I had that broken hip. And Tua, he's not as fast and not as mobile as he was his freshman year in Alabama. His speed, he's slowed down a bit. In my opinion, I didn't want the Dolphins drafting. I wanted Joe Burrow over Tua because not Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, because Tua is a liability because of that hip. That's the reason he fell down to us at the number 5 pick. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for that hip injury, he wouldn't have been available to us.
Right.
There's a reason why a lot of teams passed up on Tua.
Right. And since then, it's been an ankle, a shoulder, now a concussion.
Yes. Matter of fact, I'm going to take it back. Before that hip surgery, he was getting clobbered by the SEC teams. He was always in that medical tent getting a freaking shot of opiates or whatever, painkillers. So he's always been injury prone before, ever since his freshman year at Alabama. So,
well, Reginald, I want to thank you again for being on the show. Our next question is, can the Miami Dolphins overtake Buffalo this year for a division title, in your opinion? No. Buffalo's too strong.
I love it. Good, honest answer.
Greg, you got anything to chime in on those last two topics there? Can the Fish overtake Buffalo this year, Greg?
My personal opinion, no offense to you, Reginald, I think the Buffalo Bills are humming as a team. I think they're the best overall team in the NFL. They're right there with the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC. One thing I did want to ask you, man. So all of us here, NFL enthusiasts, we are pretty familiar with Xavier Howard and what he means to that Miami secondary. There's another player in there that doesn't get much mention, and he's steadily becoming one of the NFL's best safeties. Can you tell us about the best kept secret in Javon Holland?
Man, I was so excited when we drafted him. I believe out of Oregon.
Yeah,
and he's better than that bum that left us for the Steelers, this Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
he's way better.
You mean that all-pro bum?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And you're right. You hit the nail right on the coffin. He is the best kept secret in the NFL. And I remember last year? Last year he already made a name for himself as one of the top 10 premier safeties in the league. And he's going to solidify himself this year by cracking the top 5.
Do you think Mike Gesicki's going to have any kind of a year this year? I mean, any kind of fantasy value? He's so far just like they've got so many weapons. He just doesn't seem to fit this offense. Yeah,
that is a good question. That is a good question because, in my opinion, I don't see him sticking around for the long run because I think I'm not sure about his contract, but there's always been trade rumors about him the past couple of years that's got me upset because I don't want him going anywhere because I think he's one of the top tight ends in the league. But it's just that he doesn't fit right into our system.
Right. Yeah. Right. What'd you think about the offseason acquisitions from Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds, and overall the job the Fish did getting some of these great free agents that they brought in, and they had a decent draft? What do you think?
Well, I'm loving it, but I preferred we get a younger back. Because I didn't want no free agent back because you're picking up somebody with problems that might have lingering injuries, or usually when a team let goes of a running back, they usually know something that the other teams don't. They usually washed up. But I was wrong about Mostert. I was wrong about Benson.
Chase
Not
Edmonds.
Benson. Yeah, Edmonds. Edmonds ended up being better than what I thought. And I talked to a lot of Niners fans, and they were quite upset that they let Mostert go. So I'm more than impressed with the free agent acquisition we've had this past summer.
Very cool. Buffalo, of course, the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl, but Miami definitely looks like a playoff team. So let's shift our focus now right to this coming Sunday at Ford Field in Detroit. What do you think, Reginald, are the keys to winning, the keys to beating Detroit for the Miami Dolphins?
Well, forcing Goff to make mistakes.
Won't be hard.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Just apply pressure, a dominant pass rush, In my opinion, if we shut down Detroit's running game, because they're gonna try to establish a running game to take the load off of Goff. That's why you guys have the two running backs, Swift and what's the other guy name?
Jamal Williams and Craig Reynolds
Yes.
and Justin Jackson.
3 to 4 interceptions, like I'm predicting. We're gonna beat y'all by like 17 points, the most. I don't see a blowout because it's in Ford Field.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that does bring us to our last topic then. What is your prediction for this game? And now I want you to give me a winner and a score.
Dolphins. What is the line? What's the Vegas line on that game? What's the point spread?
I haven't looked yet. I think isn't it Lions getting 5?
I think so.
You know what? I'm gonna say Dolphins by 7 points.
Dolphins by 7. Give me a score.
Dolphins by 7. I would say 27-20.
You think the Lions will put 20 points up on them? Huh.
No.
Awesome. I like that prediction.
Thank you.
We'll take it. Hey, Reginald, thanks so much for being on the show. This is the Main Stage Open Mic Monday night, so I want to remind all of our viewers, feel free to drop us a comment. We are going to make our predictions after we let Reginald go. That way he doesn't have to sit here and listen to us be homers. Reginald, thanks so much for being on the show.
Anytime, brother.
Thank you.
Know thy enemy.
All right. So Reginald, he knew his stuff, man. Big diehard Miami Dolphins fan. Greg Rice, what do you think about his analysis? Anywhere where you did agree or didn't agree with him?
You know, I agree with him, man. I think what I witnessed yesterday versus the Steelers, you're so worried about their wide receivers and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. You couldn't ask for a better pair of speedsters. And you have to play 2 high safeties on them. You just have to. And essentially what he was saying, that West Coast offense, that box running back zone, I think Mostert's going to take advantage of that. And I personally, I just have a hard time seeing our Lions coming through with the win with this, especially how we've performed offensively these last couple of weeks.
So what are we going to have to do, Greg, to beat them?
At this point, just score more points than them. And with the way the offense has performed, I'm just not sure if we can do that. I really hope, is Jamal Williams coming back? Please tell me yes. God, he'd add a dynamic to our game. To beat them, he is? Okay, cool. We've just got to explode. We've got to hit the ground running. We've got to put points up. Goff, as Russell has alluded to, is not a come-from-behind quarterback. We have to keep pace with them. If we fall behind by 2 possessions, it's done.
So give me a prediction then, Greg. Give me a score.
Don't
worry, it's on the internet forever.
31. I think we see a little resurgence in our offense. I'll go 31-27 Dolphins.
You got the Dolphins by 4.
Yeah.
All right. Jake the Tape. And I'd like to remind everybody that's the Roar with JT. JT, what do you got for a prediction and a score?
Man, you know, I had them winning this game prior to the season because I expected the Lions to be a little bit better. But the Dolphins have really hit the ground running this season. Man, do they look good, and they look like a tough team to beat. But, you know, in order for Detroit to win, they need to play all 4 quarters. They need to keep that offense off the field. They need to rush the passer. They need to hit Tua early and often and make him get some happy feet. But I just don't know if they're going to do it. They're going to need all their horses for this one, and I don't know if we're going to have them or not. But I'm gonna go 31-27 Dolphins.
Same exact prediction as Greg. Same score. You think the Dolphins by 4. Melvin, somebody give us a light here. I don't know why our last 3 people talking think the Lions are going to score all these points. We haven't scored a touchdown this entire month. What do you got for a score?
Look, I'm gonna tell you like this. Like, I'm gonna homer it up just because, like, I took issue with a couple of things my man said while he was on here. You know what I mean? So, like, one of the first. Well, First off, you said one of the keys to the game is, you got to send that pass rush at Goff. All right, cool. Well, that's one of your keys. We ain't got to worry about, man, because our line gonna take care of that.
Right.
Okay, so look, I'm gonna put it to you like this: like we saw the defense, stepping up or whatever, and we saw more 3 linebackers on the field and whatnot. But you got to go away from that. You going back to the 2 linebackers, and you putting that extra DB out there. And with Pascal coming on, and that D line, I feel like they can mitigate the run. So, nah, they're not. We're gonna put the clamps on them, and I'm gonna homer it up, and we're gonna beat them 30-20.
30-20 Lions.
And we're talking about the offense. And look, man, hopefully Amon-Ra will be back, from the concussion. Hopefully it doesn't keep him out 2 weeks. Hopefully he's back. Hopefully we get Swift back. So we're going to put up them points, 30-20.
Right on.
Lions
were 3 of 9. Lions were 3 of 9 on third down. I think we really miss Amon-Ra on third down. He's just so consistent. He's so solid and reliable. I think if Amon-Ra plays, the Lions are going to win the game. My prediction is 17-10 Lions, because I think the defense is going to play good. They really showed signs of life the last 2 weeks. They're going to be defending the home den. I like the Lions to win, but I'm an idiot, so what do I know? But a man who's not an idiot is our producer, Russell Wayne, who's joining us right now. Russ, we've had a great discussion. We had a great guest who is knowledgeable about football. We want to hear your prediction before you give us Wayne's word.
Game predictions. Well, I'm kind of on the homer side. I did take kind of exception to a couple of the things that he said. Like he was just kind of assuming that he was going to get a pass rush. Oh yeah, we just going to all we got to do is get a pass rush. All you have to do is get a pass rush against one of the best offensive lines in the league. And I really think it does come down to if DeAndre Swift or we have more playmakers there. But if Swift is there, I think that we create problems offensively. And Goff without playmakers isn't a very good Goff. But when Goff does have playmakers, Goff is usually a pretty good quarterback under those situations. So I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring game. So I'll take the Lions to win 20-17.
A 3-point victory for the Lions predicted by the producer. Well, yeah. I think while we all jock the offensive line, they did give up 5 sacks yesterday. That's not exactly letting the world on fire. So I think if you're going to let Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle run free, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So, Russ, what do you got for us as your final thought there, Jerry Springer?
Jerry Springer. So I do want to I always try to bring a positive point of view. And one of the things that I do when I watch the football games now is I do take notes during the entire game. And I notice a theme after every loss is everybody overreacts and talks about fire the coach, sell the team, all that stuff. And I was ready to see it. But, I saw some people going after Brad Holmes. And there was a note that I took at a point. I think it was in the second quarter, right before the halftime, that a friend of mine said, "Hey man, look, I think Josh Pascal's playing today." And it dawned on me. I was like, "Oh my God, I haven't even been looking for him." And I started watching him, and then Kirby Joseph came in, almost got an interception. And then a couple plays later, I saw Pascal in the backfield, and then Hutchinson got a sack. And I wrote down on my piece of paper, I was like, this is what Brad Holmes looks like.
Yeah.
This is what, we can say everything that we want to say about, this guy or that guy in this year. But Brad Holmes drafted first-round pick Aiden Hutchinson, second-round pick Pascal, third-round pick Kirby Joseph, 5th round or 6th round pick Malcolm Rodriguez. 4 starters that are going to be mainstays on our defense for years to come. And I was like, that's Brad Holmes. That's what Brad Holmes was bringing to the table. So pump the brakes before you start firing off on Brad Holmes, because all he can do is bring the talent up. It's the coach's job to bring that talent to fruition.
Absolutely. We'd like to remind everyone to go over to our YouTube channel and please click subscribe. It really helps out. It doesn't cost you a thing. We'd like to thank all of our illustrious headliner panel today. Greg at Greg Rice 20, Jake D from the Roar, Detroit Jesus, Melvin, and the West Coast Stat Master at Greg Rice 20. For the producer Russ Wayne, I am Main Event Mike. Thanks so much. God bless each and every one of you. Peace out.